Sober October, day 25. If you drink to numb, start dealing with your feelings. So if you are drinking to numb and escape the pain, sadness, loss, anger, stress, loneliness, boredom, shame, whatever the feeling is, if you're drinking to not feel the feelings, in order to get sober, you need to start feeling and dealing with your emotions. If you do not learn how to deal with your feelings, and it's the main thing that is driving you to drink or abuse alcohol, then you are going to struggle constantly. There's a couple reasons for this, and you do not have to be an addict or an alcoholic for this to be true. But if you have used something to numb and it's become a coping mechanism, when you take it away, you create a void, and that void absolutely sucks. It is like a raw nerve that is exposed and all the things in life that are challenging, uncomfortable, hard. It triggers all those raw feelings, and you are going to feel things that are pretty overwhelming, and that causes you to slip back into old habits and behaviors. This is a cycle, and it's rooted on feeling and dealing with those feelings through alcohol. When you remove the alcohol, you have to replace it with healthy ways. You have to replace it with healthy ways of dealing with emotions. This is why sobriety takes more than willpower. It takes learning and developing new skills and tools that we can use. It takes help from other people to help you use and learn those tools, and it takes help from God to carry you through the difficulty of the whole process. So, let's get into this. What does it mean to feel and deal with emotions? I did a pretty big YouTube series actually on emotions called Engaging and Wrestling with Emotions. A link to those videos is in the description. And I'll summarize one of the main videos, which is called Engaging and Wrestling with Emotions. Here's the gist. While you can't control what you feel, how you feel, you can control how you respond. This is what we work towards when we engage and we wrestle with our emotions. We choose how to respond. So far, we've always just reacted by seeking to escape and numb. Now we're trying to choose how we're going to respond. Well, to do that, we engage, and then we wrestle with our emotions, and we decide how we're going to respond. So we go through questions like this. What do we feel? We feel a lot of things, including emotions. Emotions are signals we sense related to something going on in us or around us. Things like anger, fear, shame, guilt, happy, sad, lonely, hurt, disgusted, surprised, safe. We recognize each by the way it feels. We feel it, we recognize it, we name it, and that's the first step to engaging an emotion. Then we ask, what's going on? Each of these emotions is telling us something. Something is happening in us or around us. We sense and we perceive something is up. Our job is to pay attention to what our emotions are signaling and to recognize the thing, the situation, whatever might be making us feel what we're feeling. Anger, something is wrong, not right. What is it? Fear, uncertainty, or danger is present. What's dangerous? What's unknown? Shame, rejection, disconnection. What did I do? What do I think I did? Sadness, experiencing loss. What did I lose? Glad and happy. Something is good. What is it? Lonely. I'm isolated and alone. Who is with me? Who knows me? Hurt. I've been harmed. What happened? Disgust. Something is bad, harmful, toxic. What is it? Surprised. That was unexpected. What was it? Safe. I'm accepted and trust this situation. What is happening? Who's around me? Excited. Something good might happen. What is it? So much of what you feel and experience isn't necessarily because of what happened to you, but what you tell yourself about what happened to you. What are you saying to yourself about the situation? Something happens, it's perceived a certain way, we interpret it a certain way, and that is what we react to. So we do some digging to try to determine, what am I saying to myself right now? What are my thoughts and opinions about what's going on around me? What do I believe about this? What do I think is true? Am I rationalizing? Am I ignoring? Am I denying something? That sort of thing. Next question, what's true? Our feelings, while they are real and they're valid, they're not always right. Meaning our feelings aren't necessarily an accurate indicator of what's actually going on. Whatever we feel isn't evidence that a wrong has been committed, that someone was harmed, that something good happened, or that there's actual danger present. What we feel is evidence that we've been bothered or emotionally impacted, that our hearts have been stirred up in some way. We have to do the work of looking beyond what we feel and determine what is actually going on here. What's true in this situation? What do I actually know or believe to be true? This is the beginning of deciding how to respond to what we're feeling rather than reacting to the emotion. We live and make decisions and deal with reality. So we have to determine what is true. What do I want? What we're feeling and when we're feeling it can reveal a lot about the heart. Our desires, our longings, our expectations, our hopes, and our dreams. All of these flow from the heart, which, while made alive in Christ, is also tainted and tempted by sin. We feel emotions when something is going on in the heart, something has happened or not happened to something we value or love or even hate. By asking, what do I want? We identify the desires that might be underneath what we're feeling. And that can give us some insight into what we might need to do. Am I hoping for the right things? Do I need to surrender something unfair or selfish desire? Now, at this point, we're engaged with our emotions, and this stuff is going on in us and around us, and we're answering these questions. So we should have a good idea of why we're feeling what we're feeling in the moment. The gospel and emotions. Before really doing anything, we have to wrestle with the truth of the gospel and the implications related to our situation. So Jesus is king, and he's the king who is making all things right, and he's made all things right between us and God through his death and resurrection. In Christ, we're loved, we're forgiven, and we're free. This is great news, and it changes everything, including how we can respond to emotions. I did a video on how emotions help us pray. All emotions provide an opportunity to connect to God in prayer. You can go check that out because I believe connecting to God is essential to dealing with emotions in good, wise, and healthy ways. Also, the gospel changes how we see everything, ourselves, others, what is going on in the world, and what God says about all of it. To really respond appropriately, we need to look at our situation through a gospel lens. That means when we're angry, we don't seek revenge, but justice, maybe mercy, maybe forgiveness. In sadness and in hurt, we don't lose hope. In fear, we don't run. We don't trust ourselves. We trust God. In shame, we don't cover up or try to prove ourselves. We lean on God's unconditional love and trust that there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ. It's just a few examples. This is part of the working out our salvation. We work these truths and we wrestle with them into the day-to-day ups and downs, and we work out the implications of what Jesus has done for us so we can move forward faithfully. Emotions are an opportunity to trust Jesus. Then finally, what should I do? That leaves us with figuring out, what's the action we actually have to take. We've worked through the questions. We have more of an objective view of what's going on, and we're more connected to reality and truth and the gospel, and maybe we've prayed about it. Now we can act. Instead of reacting to what we feel, which in the past could have been by drinking, numbing, escaping, now we're choosing to respond to the reason we feel the way we feel. This is the goal. This moves us forward. Whatever is going on in the world around us or in us that is causing us to feel a certain way, we address it and we make changes. Either we respond a certain way or we do something that tries to change the situation that we're in. This is how you deal with emotions, and this is the gift of emotions. Emotions help us navigate day-to-day life. It helps us grow. It helps us develop wisdom. It helps us help other people around us. If we're always numbing and suppressing what we feel, none of this happens. So this is why we need to start feeling and dealing with those feelings if we're going to get sober. So this is not something that develops overnight. This is something that takes a very long time to learn and develop, and it only happens when we make it a priority, we get help from others, we turn to God, we practice a lot, and we put an emphasis on staying sober. When we abstain from the things that numb us, we now feel everything. And that can be overwhelming, but that's a good thing. In order to grow, and we have to make sobriety a priority. If sobriety is a priority, we're going to abstain from the things that make us numb. And when we're not numb, we're feeling. And that's an opportunity to grow and develop and mature emotionally. So that's it for this episode. I hope it gave you some perspective on alcohol, emotions, all of this. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.